Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today I want to talk a little bit about an interesting guy on the internet named Anton Daniels. I don't know him. He looks a little bit like Rick Ross's cross-eyed brother or something. I have no idea. But anyway, he loves to join in the chorus of these really disgruntled Black men that give this crazy, horrible advice on the internet. And what I want to do is kind of put it into context. I'm a little bit older than him, so maybe a little bit wiser, maybe not. But I'm going to give you another perspective that I hope you'll consider. And so get comfortable, buckle up, seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I hope you guys are doing well. I want to share something with you that has to do with something that was brought to my attention that I thought was really interesting. And it has to do with this guy. There's a guy named Anton Daniels that gives interesting perspectives on a lot of different issues. And he mostly talks about women. There's a lot of, I don't understand men who talk about women all day long, but this is what he does. And he kind of is part of what I would consider to be this tribe of men who apparently maybe they're very hurt. Maybe women make them sad. I have no idea. But some of the conversation is a little bit disturbing in the sense that it's not a reflection of what is going to create a healthy, prosperous Black community. It's a lot of conversation about, single mothers and all this other stuff, which I don't understand at all. But he did a video and he mentioned me today. And so I thought that I would kind of give an appropriate response to it in terms of kind of giving you an honest perspective on. I even shared this video on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. And I'm actually going to try to share my screen. And I want you guys to watch this and then I'll give you my take on some of this. So give me 1 second here. I'm gonna pull this up. Let me know if you can hear. This video. I'm gonna play it right now.
Be in the presence of a woman that's tainted. You don't have a chance because he already had you. Listen, if it's that easy for me to get it, I don't feel that special because he hit it and Dreadhead hit it and Umar hit it. Boys didn't hit it. He didn't have a chance. We ain't worried about boys. And the favorite football player hit it and the basketball player hit it and the homie from the hood hit it and they ran a train on you before that and then you had a kid by him and you had a kid by him and you had a kid by him and then for some reason you think you're supposed to be sitting in the presence of kings. Since when did that happen? How is it that we started qualifying ourselves for people that we don't even qualify to sit in front of? And then they want you to be a step crash dummy. I just got a quick question, ladies. What qualifies you?
Okay, so let me stop there because he gave us so much good stuff. I think that there's a lot to kind of respond to. And by the way, let me know, can you guys hear that? Were you able to hear the video? And his name's Anton Daniels, and he's entertaining. He's very entertaining. Sometimes he sounds intelligent. Sometimes he sounds a little clownish. But that's what the internet's all about. That's what YouTube's all about. That's how you get a lot of subscribers and stuff like that, because we have a lot of clowns in our community. I'm not going to say he's a complete clown. I would say that he's young. I think he's a few years younger than me. And he's very obsessed with me. He's really interested in my personal life, which I always find that really fascinating. There's no Black man I can think of anywhere that I've been that obsessed with where I talk about that person a lot, but apparently he's talked about me a lot. And typically I don't really address it much, but this time I wanted to address it because I do think that there is something that's happening here that the community needs to pay attention to. So let's start here. First of all, he says, he's talking about, I guess, some stank asshole, some nasty ass woman who slept with everybody that moves. And he's like, Umar hit it. The homie from the hood hit it. The basketball player hit it. Boyce didn't hit it. We ain't worried about Boyce. Boyce didn't hit it. And I'm like, you're goddamn right. Boyce didn't hit it. Boys don't hang out with low quality women. That's not of interest to me. And Boyce learned from my father a long time ago that that black men, if you're dumb enough to think that you're supposed to sleep with every pretty girl that walks by you a sucker, man. You're stupid. That's the dumbest thing you can ever do. A lot of these women might have diseases. STDs are a big thing. We don't talk about it enough in the community. Think about how many men you know who slept with hundreds, maybe thousands of women, and they consider that a source of pride. I'm the man. I'm the man. Look at me. Look at how many women I slept with. Bro, have you been to the clinic lately? And do you understand how many STDs are being spread in the community by men like you? Seriously, this is grown man talk. This is not something that that immature, childish people are gonna get. The clowns are not gonna get this. It's only gonna make the clowns angry. I'm sure. I can't wait to see their video responses. I'm sure they're gonna say lots of, lots of mean things or whatever. That's fine. I can handle it. But the point of the matter is that you don't understand that from slavery, you were raised with that slave buck mentality. Anybody, give me a yes if you heard about the slave breeding plantations. Anybody know about the history of slaves being bred, where they would have one guy who would sit and have sex with 100 women or 50 women in the same day or whatever, because they were trying to get him to reproduce as much as possible. Well, a lot of black men carry that mindset, and it ruins your life. A man that does not have sexual discipline is never going to be a successful man. If you need to stick your into every girl's vagina within a 100-mile radius, and you think that somehow that makes you more of a man, I dare to challenge that, because most men who live like that don't end up with happy or successful lives. Most of those men end up broke from all the child support, or they end up diseased. And ladies, if you think that that's a measure of masculinity, then you should be very thoughtful as well, because these men will infect you with an STD and kill you. So that's the first thing that I want to kind of address. So when he says Boyce didn't hit it, you're damn right. Boyce didn't hit it. Boyce has had the women that he wanted. I have never struggled to, when I was younger, it was a little harder because I didn't really know how to talk to girls. I ain't gonna lie. But when I became rich and had a PhD and was known around the world, there was no shortage of women Boyce could have dated. I literally married the woman of my dreams. I don't know if Antoine married the woman of his dreams. I don't know if that he married a lady he met 20 years ago or something, but whatever, or something. I don't know. Maybe he's not happy with his life, but that assumption about his life is not the one you can make in mind. Boyce is okay. But then the second piece that he mentions is he talks about the woman that's kind of slept around, and who the hell are you to even think that you could sit with kings because you slept with all these men have had sex with you. The problem I have with that, and tell me if you've noticed this, is that unfortunately there's a lot of men who don't understand one basic idea. How many of you have heard this? And give me a yes or no. How many of you have heard some of the men that talk like that say, well, we just hold women accountable. Women need to be held accountable. Women need to be held accountable. Has anybody heard that? Like women just don't like, they just mad because they don't want to be held accountable. And I get it. There's a lot of women that don't want to be held accountable. But one thing about accountability is that accountability starts at home. Accountability starts at home, brother. So if you can't hold yourself accountable, how the fuck are you going to hold women accountable? Seriously, you will, if you watch their videos carefully, you will hear them talk extensively about how many kids a woman has, how many women a woman has slept with, or how many men a woman has slept with, what a woman's doing with her life, and the status of her situation. But not one single time do you hear them challenging men in the same way. Never once do you even make a basic conclusion. You don't understand the basic idea that you do understand that whenever there's a single mother, there's a man that made that baby. How often do you hear these men who attack the women say anything about these motherfuckers that are making kids and abandoning their children? The same guy who created 5 single mothers will literally be in the chat saying, that's why I don't date no single mothers. I don't date no single. So you run around infecting women, infecting them with unwanted pregnancies, infecting them with STDs. And then you're talking shit about the very same women that you infected. Brother, something's wrong with you. You don't understand the accountability equation that makes sense. So again, some people, right? I think that people who've made good choices in their lives and put themselves in a good situation, they haven't devalued themselves by just spreading their bodies all over the place. They ain't walking around with all kinds of diseases and financial problems, everything else that comes with that. People like that, you should find somebody that matches that, right? You have the right to say, well, because I didn't have any kids and I'm my credit is good and my income is high and I've taken care of my body, I want somebody who does the same thing. I get that. But a lot of these guys are losers. A lot of these dudes, not all of them, not all of them. I don't know much about Anton and his situation. I'm sure he's made some money on YouTube and all that. But I don't know. I think, from what I understand, I think his mother was a single mother for a while. I think his father might have died. My heart, I give my condolences for that. But if your mama was out here as a single mother and dealing with guys like you telling other men that single mothers are not worth their time, I don't know how you would feel about that. I don't know. Again, I don't know the situation with his mother. I could have sworn he mentioned something about his father passing. His mother was a single mother, and I think that that would be very unfortunate for somebody to have judged his mother the way he's judging other people's mothers, right? And the thing that I think as Black people we have to understand is that YouTube entertainment is it's entertainment, and it's sometimes it's hurtful entertainment. And because you have such a traumatized community, you have people that build their whole platforms by being as outrageous, as clownish, and as hurtful as they can possibly be. Why can't you build a platform by empowering Black men? Why can't you build a platform by empowering Black families? Why can't you build platforms by saying positive things that's going to elevate people? Why must the platform be built by being one of the few groups of people on the planet? The Black man, we're identified with this. The African American male is one of the few people on the planet that is known for bashing the shit out of their women, like literally just going ham in terms of disrespecting Black women at every turn. Saying that because you have a single mother, or because you are a single mother, something's wrong with you. And I think Anton's in the chat. You know what, man? I'm gonna say this, bro. You can actually. That's great. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad you're here. You should we should get online together. I will. I don't know how to get in touch. Put your email address in here or something, or I don't know how we can connect. But I would be happy to debate you with it about this because I don't understand your platform. I really don't. I don't understand where the win is. I don't see. Here's the thing that I will tell you, and I'm glad he's here because I went on his page and I responded to him because I believe men should talk. I don't think men should be afraid to talk to each other. He says, "Let's do it now." You know what? Tell me where to send the link, and I'll bring you in, man. I think that will be a lot. I think that will be a great conversation because here's the thing. Um, in my view, a side of masculinity is when you can build yourself up without tearing other people down. I think that as Black men, we can make ourselves strong without degrading and debasing and demeaning our women. Attacking our women does not make us look good. Maybe you can encourage women. Maybe you can help them get better. Maybe you can help them understand, some truths about the choices they make. I see the same women you do. I love Black women, but I know Black women ain't perfect. But I also know that my mother was a single mother, and I know that my mother was a single mother because my daddy was a drug addict. It was the man's fault that my mother was raising me by herself when I was 2 or 3. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't because she was a whore and a worthless piece of shit. My mother was raising me by herself because she was the fucking person that took responsibility. She was the one that took responsibility while my daddy, my biological father, was off getting high. So a lot of these run off and get high Negroes are the very same ones who are hiding under this cloak of accountability. I call it the cloak of accountability, the disguise. They really need to come out the closet. They need to come out the closet because they're hiding under this cloak of accountability. Well, we hold women accountable. And these are guys that are just like my biological father, who was so busy getting high that he didn't take care of his son. He created a single mother and ran off, and she cleaned up his mess. And then a real man came along and took his place. See, y'all don't understand the whole story. My father that raised me, who I give credit for being my father. I'm looking for Anton's comment. I want to bring you in, brother. So I don't know how we can get in touch, but literally, in fact, I'll give you an email. Email me at boyce@boycewatkins.com. You send me an email, I'll send you the link back. I'll invite you right in here because I think we should have a conversation. My father that raised me went to my biological father, who was coming in and out of my life when I was a baby. And he pulled up on him in a car. He had a shotgun in the front seat of the car. And he said, "That woman and that child is my responsibility now. You don't need to come around no more." Because the problem was he was coming in and out, ducking in and out, breaking my mother's heart, not holding up his responsibility. or whatever. And he came in and did one of the most masculine things I think a person could do, where he said, "This is my son. I'm going to make sure that he's good." And what I'm saying is that why can't we also applaud those men that are not looking for somebody to blame, but are actually looking for chances to make the community better? Okay. Now Anton said he sent the email, so I'm gonna go look for your email, man. I'd be happy to talk to you. I look forward to talking it out as opposed to this nonsense, man. Talking back and forth on YouTube, that's chatty patty bullshit. I don't like to do that. I didn't do that with Kwame Brown. I'm not gonna do that with you. So but I'm glad, but I respect you for the fact that you are man enough to come in here. So I think that's good. We can talk it out directly. Me and Corey Holcomb talked it out on Willie D's channel, because that's what men do. This whole stuff about, like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video about you is BS. And every single person, and I want to say this too, as I send the link to Anton, every single person that has ever disagreed with me on YouTube, I have offered to talk to that person directly. If I go to an event, like Umar Johnson hasn't liked me for a long time. It goes way back. Don't worry about why. But every time Umar's at an event and I'm at the same event, I say, "Hey, bring him in here. I'll talk to him." And Umar's the guy who's afraid to talk to me, or doesn't have an, or is I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Roland Martin, same thing. Roland Martin and I haven't gotten along for about 10 years. Uh, Roland is is the guy where I'm like, well, bring him in so we can talk it out. I want to know why he's so upset with me, but Roland doesn't want to. He's a, not interested or whatever, and it's okay. It's their right to do that. But I want y'all to know that there will never be a person I'll talk about on this channel that I would not talk to directly. And so I'm gonna bring Anton in. I keep saying Antoine. I'm gonna bring him in. I'm gonna let him speak his piece, and we can talk it out. This is something new. This is something rare. We don't really do that much on this channel. All right, so let's see here. I actually really like you, boys. You give good financial advice, but you're wrong about dating in Black relationships. Okay, it's your right to think that. I agree. But I'm asking you, what's the solution? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for people that can keep identifying the problem. I'm a mathematician. We solve problems. We don't just complain about them. So it looks like Anton's in here. So Anton, I'm going to bring you in. So here we go. So everybody welcome Anton, and let's treat him with respect. Let's hear what the brother has to say. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing good. So welcome to the channel. It's good to finally meet you in person. So I assume that you have some things to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and just be quiet and give you the floor.
First and foremost, let me say I appreciate you for letting me come on a platform and even being able to have this conversation, because I think it's important, because we just fundamentally disagree on a lot of different things. First, let me say that I remember all of the times where you were throwing shots, Boyce. You threw a lot of shots in a lot of the different red pill content spaces. You throw comments inside of Instagram posts that's specifically referencing me on videos that they repost to me. You throw ad hominem attacks like, "Oh man, he must be cross-eyed," or stuff like that. And that's cool. I don't have any problems with that, because it's cool. We all content creators and people are going to get shots. But then you can't complain on the other side when people reference you, because you always playing victim, or you always trying to act like you don't understand why people have a problem with you. It's because you do things like that. But then you want to sit here and posture and say, well, we should all talk like men. You started it. You absolutely started it. And so when other people start to get shine, or when other people's message start to resonate with other men, then you throw shots instead of having a conversation with them. So I appreciate you for even allowing for me to come on a platform and have this conversation in the first place, because I think that, you need to check that. You do a lot of that when you talk about empowerment, but you always throw shots at different content creators. But then when it's time to have a conversation in the past, you say, well, I'm not paying attention to it. I don't really reference it. It's not a big deal. I think that's not right. That's not right, boys. And then you wonder why people.
You actually make.
Go ahead.
You made a great point. You really exposed me with that, because you're right. Sometimes I go in the land of petty. Like, I think, for example, and it really is. It is a type of hypocrisy that I've always had to confront, because it's like I had, and you're not the first person I've had that kind of disagreement with. Kwame Brown really had a problem. I mean, this dude made 12 videos or something in a row about me. I didn't watch any of them. So that part about ignoring it, I really do ignore it because I want to focus. But if you really look at it, I said his name first instead of, and I wasn't trying to insult him, but I said his name, he got offended, and that was the reaction. So you could be right. I've been accused of being a provocateur before. And so first off, I want to acknowledge that and even apologize for that. But then second of all,
I don't think it warrants an apology because we are content creators. The only thing that I'm saying is, if you dish it out, you just got to be willing to take it back. I say a lot of things because other people are content creators, and so I'm going to critique their position on different subjects. And then I notice that they get offended, but people say stuff about, I'm not tripping about it. It's just a part of the game. I understand that that's what comes with the territory. So I don't have any problem with you doing it. I just don't want you to be a victim. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I don't see myself as a victim. I understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, I don't look at it as like, woe is me. I think it's more so, I'm thinking more so about the fact that it seems to me that we can't have this conversation about dating and relationships without it somehow sounding like we're getting clicks and views by bashing Black women. And I know that it's not all women, and I get it, but I don't see the same level of accountability being pushed toward the men as the women. And I believe it's because the men are the ones that are promoting the content and giving the clicks and views, and because you're affirming everything they believe, that nothing's their fault, that it's always the women this and women that. I see the same shit you see. I see the same community you see. I avoid the same women you might avoid, but I think that we have a community that needs healing and support, not one where we got millions of men that are just talking crazy about like single mothers. Like, what the fuck is wrong with like every single mother is not a hoe. Some of them literally got abandoned by some raggedy ass Negro who didn't handle his responsibility. We don't talk about that.
We do talk about it. We've been talking about it for the past 50 years. Guys by default have always been held accountable largely for the things that they do because we don't have a safety net. But when we speak, of course, there's going to be the anomaly. Of course, there's going to be the woman who was widowed. Of course, there's going to be a lot of different women that are in certain circumstances. But when we speak to the majority. We don't speak to the minority. And statistically speaking, the overwhelming majority of women are having babies with a small minority of men. Let's say, for example, that you hold every guy accountable, because contrary to popular belief, I'm much harder on guys than I am on women. I am absolutely, positively dedicated to building men. As a matter of fact, I'm an advocate for dick discipline. I don't advocate for guys to be out here spreading their seed. I'm a reflection of the thing that I advocate for. And I'll get into my family history in a little bit, but in a general sense, I'm much harder on men than I am on women. But we live in a society where women have advocated for equal. They've advocated for equal when it comes to what benefits them, but not advocating for equal when it comes to holding themselves accountable for the decisions that they make, right? So now that they have a platform, and we've let women have a platform for a long time, now that men are starting to speak to their issues, we have to call a spade a spade. And the reality is that I can hold every single guy accountable, and every single guy can clean up their mess in their life. But it only takes a percentage of 1% of men to then get with all of the women that then choose this exact same type of guy, have a child by him, but then they'll start to hold all men accountable for the idea that they chose wrong, because they know that they should not be opening their legs and carrying before they marry. And so when we start to have these conversations, we have to have them holistically. You can't just say, okay, well, what about the guy? We always talk about the guy. We've been talking about the guy since the beginning of time. They won't even advocate for updating family court laws that were created at a time where women didn't even have rights to choose for themselves or be able to have the opportunities to have the jobs that they have. But they advocate against updating family court laws, but then advocate for making sure that they can choose and do what they want to do, but then advocate against being able to be held accountable for the decisions that they make. And that's ultimately creating so much chaos as far as the type of women that are then determining what's happening in our elections, the type of men that they're raising that ultimately is affecting what's happening in the laws that's happening in our schools. All of the things that we have as far as men being able to say, okay, well, I'm going to be held accountable for the fact that I chose this woman or I had children with this woman, which the overwhelming majority of single men don't have children out of wedlock. That's a statistical fact. More men don't have children out of wedlock versus single baby mamas. but then we advocate for cleaning up the community. I don't believe personally that the goal is to make sure that we remix families and remix the core of what it takes in order to be successful when it comes to creating families and coming together. I think that we need to go back and hit the reset button and start to say, okay, wait a minute. We shouldn't be having children out of wedlock instead of enabling bad behavior by saying, okay, well, wait a minute. Some guy should come up and clean up the mess of another guy. Because what about him? What about the guy that took care of his business, was on top of things, did not have children out of wedlock, made sure that he leveled up and took care of his business? If we care about him, why would we say, hey, you need to go and get with a woman that then messed up her life, instead of pairing him with a woman that's more closely or equally yoked with the direction of his life that he's going in? Why should it be the responsibility of somebody that didn't create that situation, instead of holding a person accountable that did, like we do to men every day, since we live in a society where we've advocated for feminism and equality, especially equality with regard to decision and what you can choose to do as far as for a living? Why should guys have to bear that brunt instead of be held accountable, holding accountable the ones that's actually making the decisions to get pregnant?
Now I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think that if you want my take on feminism, I'm not really into any of what has happened in our community for the last 50 years, right? So you are correct in that the choices are being made in the wrong way. I think that where I want to kind of add to that and try to understand this better is why is it that we would say, for example, look at a child as somebody else's mess to clean up? I married a woman that had 3 kids, as a lot of people seem to know, and it wasn't because the father was a piece of shit. It's because they got a divorce for whatever reason. I work with the father to raise the kids. I love the kids. I consider children to be an asset. I love, I could have married. You and I both are guys who have a little bit of money. You know how it is. You got a little bit of money. You could pick the litter. I could have got a woman 25 years younger than me and had a newborn baby. I just didn't want to have a newborn baby. I like mentoring kids. These kids have helped me make millions of dollars because they helped me run my business. This is fun for me. So why is it that we would go out and tell men, don't be no step baby daddy. Don't be no, I think I used crash dummy or something like that. I honor those men. Let's seriously, I really have admiration for the men who say, you know what, I didn't make this mess, but it's my community. I'm gonna clean up. If I see a piece of trash in my neighborhood, I'm not gonna be like, well, that's not my trash. Somebody got to go pick this up. I'm not picking it up because it's not my responsibility. No, I think it's all of our responsibility, right? Because you are right. You what you said earlier, I agree with that 100%. That the studies show that women are attracted to the top 10% of men. And you got some of those men, that top 10% that fuck everything, impregnate everything, passing all the disease, all that, right? So that's got to be dealt with. But I don't necessarily always look at it all as just like, okay, all these women were just stupid. Sometimes they literally fall in love with the guy and they really think it's going to work out. And maybe their daddy nobody taught them how to discern between the two. I just think that attacking is not the best approach. I think that we can build without having a scapegoat. I feel like the single black mother is what's the scapegoat. It started with the Kevin Samuels thing when he realized how many views he was going to get. Remember, Kevin Samuels did content for years. Nobody paid attention. It wasn't until he told that poor lady that she's going to die alone, well, she probably already knew that shit anyway. That was when he started doubling down on that. And I'm like, why you got to go tell people they're going to die alone? If they know they're going to die alone, they're going to die alone. Let them deal with that. It's not our job to be like, well, because you are a 35-year-old black woman and you whatever, you're going to die alone. Why would we even want to be known for that kind of thing?
She called in. What do you mean? She asked for the advice. She asked him for his insight. See, the part where you're wrong is that we don't acknowledge the fact that Kev had held men accountable for years. And he was much harder on men than he was on women. But see, we only want to acknowledge the part where people start getting offended because he started holding women accountable. See, your word choice is strategic. And I understand what you do, boys. You use attack instead of saying being held accountable. See, we don't use the word attack when we talk to men. We just say, man up, take care of business, take ownership and responsibility for what you did, and then keep going. But we don't use that word when we apply it to women that ask for the advice of Kevin Samuels. He didn't attack anybody. He told the truth. And so it's a difference between being a truth teller and somebody that's doing it for views, because he was compensated according to what it was, which I think that he should have been compensated and he should have been much more successful earlier. But because he was compensated and he was successful as a result of it, that's what then brings out the jealousy. That's what then brings out the haters. That's what then brings out the problem, because he wasn't a problem when he was given the exact same advice, even worse, to men. But let's flip over for a second. I don't think these guys are heroes of the community. I think that these guys are enabling bad behavior. Because if a woman, and they say it regularly, can go out and do what she want to do, these college campuses are nothing but indoctrination camps. They are.
I agree with that, but I've said the same thing. Go ahead.
And they literally not only are indoctrination camps, but they're also a gateway into bad behavior for a lifetime of pain, meaning that they go out there, they slut it out, they get pregnant, they do what they want to do, and they even have a phase for it. They say, this is my whole phase. So instead of us holding women accountable and saying, hey, you shouldn't have a whole phase, but you should get married, because we already understand what the statistics are. You're less likely to go to jail. You're more likely to graduate college. You're less likely to need therapy. You're less likely to have problems. You're less likely to join gangs if you are raised in a two-parent household. Instead of us going back to the core of it and saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to enable your bad behavior by rewarding you with a good man that then should have been with his own family. Instead, I'm going to hold you accountable, and maybe you should choose better. As a matter of fact, you should probably go back and get with the person that you had children with in the first place, because if he was good enough to open your legs for, because kids still need their father. You just said out of your own mouth that you worked closely with the father of the children from the mother that she originally had kids with. So why don't we have conversations with men or with women and say, hey, then how come you won't go back with the person that actually had the children with, because that's probably what's best for them in most situations. But I believe that you advocate for it because that's the life that you live. You chose it. And so how can you go against the very thing that you live and then tell guys to do anything different when that's the thing that you're doing? Because you would sound like a hypocrite. And I think that you also understand who your core audience is. I think that the majority of the people that support you boys are women, Black women. And they want to hear the narrative. They want to be sold. They want to be told a certain thing similar to how it is when we go to church. And so they support you because you don't go against them. And it's a strong possibility, the majority of them, based off of the statistics, that they are single mothers. And so I don't speak to the majority of people that want to hear what they want to hear. The only thing I care about is the truth. I'll let the chips fall where they may. And I'm not controlled by anybody. I don't care about the demographics. My audience, or the people that resonate with me, they gonna find me. I don't pander to nobody. The only thing I do is I tell the truth. There's nothing that I say, is nothing that you can reference that I say that is actually bad for the community, including how I live my life. Specifically, you reference my family. I'll give you a little bit of context. I was raised in a two-parent household, all 4 boys, me and my 3 brothers. My father was in our life until I was in my late 30s. That's when my father passed away. Then my mother became a widow when all of her children was out the house past 30 years old. And then eventually another guy, because she was working for me in one of my restaurants, came in, asked me, could he speak to my mother? And then eventually they wound up getting married after her children were already grown. So she was widowed, and then she wound up getting remarried when her children was grown. All 9 of my uncles on my mother's side married, never divorced. None of my brothers have never been divorced. I've been married for almost 20 years, since I was 22 years old, with the woman that I chose, the woman that I grew up with in high school. I met her in high school. She's in the other room right now. I have a daughter, right? My other uncle that's not deceased on my father's side, he's still married to the same woman. I don't come from broken households. I don't come from broken families. I chose the woman that I have. I have no scandals. I have no problems. I have no issues in my life. So when I speak, what happens is, the reason why I live my life like an open book is because I want men to not only see an example of a person that's advocating for the thing that he lived for, but I'm a reflection of what I would want my daughter to marry. And so it's hard for women to then come after me and say, well, he's hurt or he's coming from a broken family, because I don't. And I think that it's guys like me that need to advocate for guys that's on the other side, because I don't have to go through it and they don't either. And I want to be a reflection of what I want those guys to be. But I believe that you advocate for it because you understand your audience. I don't think that you even really believe it. It's nowhere in the world that you can tell me, boys, that you would tell your daughter or your son to go and get with a ready-made family. I don't believe you would do that.
So, well, let me jump in on that. My audience is actually pretty mixed. It's about 60-40 women to men, though. So you are right about that. But there's a lot of men that follow me, and it's not. And the pandering part, I think that's debatable because when I go to your channel and I look at who's in there making comments, it's mostly men, right? And what I would almost say to you, brother, is just in terms of a thought, is I think there's a reason why men resonate with your message more than women, because I don't really hear the kind of intelligent, constructive advice that I think you're capable of when I see your commentary. I see a lot of stuff that could come off as woman bashing, right? Like that, just the little video that I shared on my Instagram about Umar hit it, so hit it. Then you threw that little thing, but Boyce didn't hit it. We know we ain't worried about Boyce. You're right, and you're right. Boyce ain't gonna hit it because Boyce was not out there.
Boyce, right? You know the difference between joking and then also putting the medicine inside of the candy. What part of that clip that you played was actually toxic or woman bashing?
I think the part that was toxic was this idea that that we are judging a woman's past much more harshly than we would judge a man's past. You said sit in the presence of kings. I think it's debatable about what makes a man a king. I know a lot of men who ain't got king-like qualities, who ain't kings for shit, who are walking around claiming. Seriously though,
what's the toxic part? What's the toxic?
Like when you hear guys talk about, well, women's standards are too high and they want this to. I'm like, well, maybe you just didn't make the fucking cut.
No,
like seriously, like a lot of guys don't make the cut and then run around
in the clip,
bitching and pissed off because the woman didn't want him. She had better options than you.
What in the clip did you play that I say that was woman bashing or toxic?
Okay, let's play the clip. How about we play the clip?
Oh, yeah.
Is that cool? All right, let's pull the clip up and we can dissect it. That way we can look at it with fresh memory. And I gotta actually take a quick leak. So this will be your platform for a minute. Let me see if this is.
I don't care what nobody say. I definitely.
Damn. All right. You know what? It's on my Instagram. Okay, so let me pull it up on my Instagram. But I'm gonna play the clip, man, because the thing about it was the tone. If you want to understand like the other point of view on what you said, go to my page. Since you said more women might follow me or whatever than you, take a look at what some of the ladies said. And I think that women should be heard, right? It doesn't mean you got to agree. The question is, are you hearing women, or are you just telling women what you think, and that we somehow, because we're men, our opinion is the only opinion that matters? That's the part that's the problem. And that was the issue I had with. I like Kevin Samuels. Kevin did a video about me. I felt bad because he was very supportive, bro. He was very supportive of me in the video. But Kevin died alone. Kevin Samuels, the same shit he said about that woman. You're gonna die alone. You're gonna die alone.
You went in on you the minute that he passed away. You started talking junk about him the minute that he passed away.
You know what? I had to be honest. Just like you said, you don't pander. I don't pander.
Well, how can you sit here and say that you rock with me?
I lost a lot of black male friends because of that position, but I'm okay with that.
I'm with having smoke for people when they can defend themselves. But how can you speak ill upon a man after he passed away? That's just low. That's low brow, boys. You know it. You cannot start speaking all of a sudden start talking tough on a person after they passed away. Hold on. Because I know him. I spoke at his funeral, right? I know his mother. I know his daughter. That was low brow. To hear you as a voice of the black community talk negatively about a person after they passed away, that was foul, boys.
There was nothing I said about Kevin after his death that I did not say when he was alive. And Kevin knew it because Kevin was talking about my wife on his platform
about a person after they passed away.
I did not know. My position is unconditional honesty. I don't give a fuck if you're alive or you're dead. My opinion is not going to shift. I did not. No. Let's be clear. I did not dislike Kevin. I specifically gave him compliments. I talked about the good things he did. Man, we gotta defend our women, man. If you got a platform when you're making women feel bad, acting like women are the only ones who can die alone.
Trying to move the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts.
No, we're not moving the goalposts.
Once a person passes away, First of all, it was fresh off of his death, and his mother is grieving, and his daughter is grieving. His friends is grieving. People that actually care for him is grieving. You piled on in the death. That's lowbrow, boys. Listen, and I said it. I don't care if people say anything about a person when they're alive and they can defend themselves. He got a platform. He can say whatever it is that you want to say. When somebody passes away and people are grieving and you piling on in the same way that a lot of these other women that didn't like him, and you say that you like him, but you validating how it is that that's lowbrow behavior. I will never talk negatively about a person that cannot defend themselves. Or if I don't care for somebody, I'm just gonna not say nothing at all. I'm not gonna talk negatively about somebody.
But it's okay. But it's okay to tell women who are gonna die alone that they're gonna die alone. So that's okay.
Call into your platform. It's okay to build. You forgetting one thing, Boyce. You forgetting one thing. They called into his platform to get his advice. He did not ask them.
They did not call in to get abuse. They did not call in.
No. Every single and you're not giving him credit for all of the women that he actually helped. Because he has statistics and he had facts. He had people that he was actually getting to the finish line. And see, we don't talk about that part. And you're still moving the goalpost. The fact of the matter is, it does not matter what happened when somebody was alive. Us as people with a platform, we should not be talking about people fresh on their death in a negative way. And then at the same time, you sitting here talking about, well, I liked him. You can't have both. Either you was rocking with him and you liked him, or you didn't.
No,
but if it was somebody,
I don't. But that's.
I will never do that. I will never do that.
But let me correct you. I don't do that with anyone. There's nobody that I think is perfect. I'm not a follower. I don't rock with somebody 100% or hate them 100%. I talk about the nuances. And I think with Kevin, what I always said about Kevin was the exact same thing I said before he died and after he died. I was consistent. I might be an asshole, but at least I'm a consistent asshole. As I said, he's a brilliant guy. He did great work, but he realized his channel took off when he told that lady she was going to die alone. And right before he died, he said some shit about, like, when you over 35, you're a leftover. Nobody wants you. Who the fuck thinks that shit? That's bullshit.
We can go back and forth. Women in our community. I'm not here to defend Kevin.
Do you believe that? You believe a woman is worthless if they're over 35?
We can get into that. I'm not here to defend Kev because Kev's legacy speaks for itself, in my personal opinion. He said what he said. People can agree with it or disagree with it. I used to have conversations on the phone with him all the time where I would personally disagree with him on some things also. But I will never let that come out into the public because that's not what friends do. If I was holding Kev accountable or if he was holding me accountable, then we held each other accountable privately because we truly rock with each other. So I'm not here to defend Kev because Kev can his work speaks for itself. I'm saying that that's lowbrow behavior to speak on somebody. That would be almost like somebody bringing up Kobe's issues as far as what he dealt with when he was dealing with the whole rape charges upon the crashing and when he passed away. That wasn't the time for it, boys. That's when you pass away, people are grieving. They are grieving. They trying to remember the best of whatever it is that they have left of the person because it was an unexpected death. That's not right. It's just not right.
Let's be clear. I don't think I talked about Kevin until the time had passed. I didn't talk. It wasn't like I did a video right when he died and said breaking news. Kevin Samuels died, and this is why I'm. I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't, but I did use it as I was thinking about the people I care about, which is mostly young black men and young women. And I said, and I wanted men to understand that men die alone too. Men who don't invest in family, they die alone just like women do. And so with what happened with Kevin, I hate it. It was me being overly logical. He was a logical guy. I think he could understand this. The reality is that we need to stop acting like it's only women that can die alone for making bad relationship choices. Men, we do have a privilege. Black men, we have a huge privilege because statistics show that the percentage of marriage eligible black men to black women is highly disproportionate because of mass incarceration and all that. So men like you or men like me that are at a certain age, that have money or whatever, you got the pick of the litter. Women are everywhere. There was over a supply of women. It was too much, right? But that's why I wanted to get married. I didn't want all that no more. So the thing about it is a lot of women that are gonna die alone, whatever we want to call it, it's not because they were hoes or they all made bad choices. It's because there's an imbalance. And I think that you got to talk about that, man. You can't just talk.
We can debate that, but I just wanted to make sure that I addressed that I didn't think that that was right. I mean, we could debate anything, like, or not even debate. We can, I don't even want to say debate, because debate is, you know, you taking a position and I'm taking a position. I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong, and I'm open to hearing you. And after this conversation, I'm also going to take into consideration everything that you say, because I do think that you're intelligent, and I do think that you make some interesting and good points, right? But we can have a conversation about anything. I just don't agree with the way that you addressed it. I thought that it was, I think that you're better than that.
Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. And the feeling's mutual. And I want us to, I'm glad we're connected. I want to say that because I do believe in conflict resolution, and I, you know, and I appreciate the fact you came in. So I got that clip. I'm gonna play your clip, and then I want you to give your perspective on what you were saying, and then I'll give you my take. So I think I got the right clip here. Here we go.
I don't even want to be in the presence of a woman that's tainted. You don't have a chance because he already had you. Listen, if it's that easy for me to get it, I don't feel that special, because he hit it, and he hit it, and Dreadhead hit it, and Umar hit it. Boys didn't hit it. Boys didn't hit it. He didn't have a chance. We ain't worried about boys. And the favorite football player hit it, and the basketball player hit it, and the homie from the hood hit it, and they ran a train on you before that, and then you had a kid by him, and you had a kid by him, and you had a kid by him, and then for some reason you think you're supposed to be sitting in the presence of kings. Since when did that happen? How is it that we started qualifying ourselves for people that we don't even qualify to sit in front of? And then they want you to be a step crash dummy. I just got a quick question, ladies. What qualifies you for a good man? Gentlemen, for those of you that have held yourself to a higher standard, have gone through the fire, has become the best version of yourself, and continue to evolve based off of what your next preference is, your next purpose is, your growth curve, because your purpose is ever evolving depending on where you at in your life. I tell you all the time, vet for the direction that you're going in, so the woman that you wind up being with is not the woman that you've met. Anton, how do you vet for the direction that you're going in? Think about it. Overwhelmingly, guys, the value of a man continues to rise as he gets older. The value of a woman diminishes as she gets older. That's why they call it the wall, because she hit a certain point in her life to where if she can't climb, she bound to drizzle. Shout out to Snoop.
That's correct. So what part of that is woman bashing?
That a woman's value diminishes as she gets older. I think that there is a better way to lay that out. Now, one thing I will say, I'm gonna start with where I agree with you, because these debates are hard for me, honestly, because I listen to a lot of the stuff you say, and I listen to a lot of stuff Kevin said, and I completely got it. I do. And my wife doesn't get it the way I get it. And I've encouraged her. I've said, you know, you should probably listen to some of these guys, because they are reflecting something that a lot of men feel, and I think that should be heard. I think that the way I would challenge you on that a little bit is to say, is there a way you can make your point without it coming out as what you are against? You know, you did talk about what you were for. You talked about men, you know, the best version of yourself and everything else. And the problem with people on the internet is that a guy who's listening to you, there's nothing in that video that makes him say, well, maybe I need to step my game up. Where am I lacking? Where have I made a mistake? Where have I, remember, we're men, we're the leaders of the community. If the community's falling apart, a lot of it's falling on us. Where am I not doing what I'm supposed to do? Right. And you know, and then the other part is that I think that really just sort of saying things like, look, as a man, my value goes up as I get older. As a woman, your value goes down. I know a lot of guys whose value does not go up, you know, because of the bad choices that they're making. They got the babies, mamas, the diseases, the bad credit, they haven't got their money up, education levels flat dead, not taking care of their kids, not a good leader of the household. So this is, I think that's a false idea. And then also I think that as men, it's not really our right to tell a woman what her value actually is. There are some women who have enough juice where they could sleep with several men and do whatever they're going to do and still bag a good man because she looks good or because she knows how to treat a man or whatever. I think that these hard, fast rules I don't like. That's what I don't like. Like the idea that if you're over 35, you're worthless. That's not, I know women that are 42 that could compete with a 28-year-old. So why don't we talk about as opposed to trying to make these rules?
You don't know no 42-year-old that can compete with a 28-year-old. Come on, stop,
bro. Let me tell you the truth. I'm a honest reflection here. When I was 45, that was when I got married. I had just ended a relationship with a woman that was younger than me, much younger, and I made a conscious decision. I told my friend, I said, I really don't want to date younger women anymore because I want to date a grown-up. And at that time, I met women that were all 37, 38 and over because I specifically said, I do not want to date a woman under 35 because I want a woman I can relate to. I'm a cerebral man. I'm not a stupid guy. I don't think with my dick. I think with my brain. And I wanted somebody that actually had something in common with me, somebody who understood how to care about something other than herself, somebody who wasn't thinking like a child. And Black women are gorgeous. There are women that can hit 38, 40. Now you're not 40 yet. You'll know, like, I think when you get like 40,
I'm 41.
You're 41. Okay. Well, okay. So I thought you were 38. Okay, so you're 41. As you get older, you start to just really see what Black women can do. Now, it doesn't apply to all women, but there are some women out here that look really good that I would literally, legitimately, that might be 41 that I would pick over a dumbass 29-year-old.
Do you hear yourself? You're saying a woman that looks really good. See, when I teach guys what to vet for, I'm not focused on the silly shit like women that look really good. I'm teaching guys to vet for whether or not she has great character, whether or not she's a good mother, right? Or whether or not she would be a good mother. I'm teaching guys to be equally yoked with women that understand spirituality, right? Women that will pray for you when you go out. And a lot of times, one of the ways in which we qualify people, even in the job market, you look at their resume, right? And so if every other sector and in everything that we do in life, we qualify people based off of their past decisions, then why in relationships is that the only sector because we feel a certain type of way, or she looks good? Because let's be clear. Listen, anybody can go and get some surgery. Anybody can go and get a BBL. Like, that don't mean nothing. The surface level stuff don't mean anything to people like, supposed to be people like me and you that have substance, that's trying to build, that understand the importance of creating a legacy, that leaves a blueprint for other people that come behind us as to what it is that you should vet for. I'm not focused on the surface level stuff. I'm focused on things that actually build communities and add value. So it's not about looks. It's not about that for me, boys. And when I teach these guys, I'm telling them, vet for the direction that you're going in, not for what your current circumstances are. And that's why it's important, because when you see the narrative that's resonating amongst all of these other women channels, they're saying don't date guys based off of potential. When you 22, 23, 24 years old, you ain't got nothing but potential. You broke. You trying to figure it out. You're trying to grow. You're trying to get yourself together. You in school. You probably just got a job. You're in an internship or whatever. And so if they telling you don't date based off of potential, then all I can do is give guys insight on how it is that they can vet for women that actually look to go in the direction that they're going in, who are equally yoked, right? So when I say that a woman that is 42 can't compete with a woman that's 28, often at times I'm saying that you have a better idea of what her past decisions were to more effectively evaluate whether or not she's a good woman. I don't go based off of the surface. I don't go based off of optics. I go based off of reality. Based off.
Okay,
of
so let me ask you.
And so similarly, when we reference back into that clip, if she slept with every single other guy and she had a whole bunch of kids by a bunch of other people, but then she still find herself not in a relationship, not married, not moving the way that she's supposed to move. So you telling me that as a man, if I'm single, no children, taking care of business, top of the totem pole, I know that statistically my earning potential is not even going to hit its apex until its late 50s, early 60s. That I'm supposed to pick her?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying pick who the hell you want. Just pick who you want. Here's what we agree. You talked about a woman where everybody done hit it. Umar hit it, and that they ran the train on her. I'm not picking that woman either. That's
you
not
don't know. How do you know?
Here's the thing. I don't need to announce that. I just will pick a quality woman. I picked what I wanted.
What's a quality woman?
To me, a quality woman was a woman that fit my life. Like you said, all those things.
Yes, what is the characteristic? But listen, you said of a quality woman.
You were talking about the non-10. You were talking about the things that didn't have to do with what she looked like, right? The spirituality, what kind of mother she be. Well, then what? Then where did that comment come from about a woman's value diminishing with age? What does it seems to me that if she's older, she'd have more of the spirituality and be just a better person, be more intellectual, be able to connect with. So
Well, let's have a conversation.
why would you pick a young thought, a 27-year-old who still doesn't even know who she is, as opposed to say a 39-year-old who maybe is more evolved in that way? I'm not telling you what to
How
think.
did she discover who she is? Did she discover who she was by sleeping with a bunch of guys, having a bunch of relationships? Because you can't unsee what you saw. You can't think about it. If a woman is 40 and I'm looking to have children, you have a better chance of doing it with a 28-year-old than you do with a 40-year-old.
Now that is true. That is true. That is true. Right? Because that was my real life dilemma. I was like, do I really want to have more kids or do I not? I married a woman specifically with children, not just because she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. She was one of my best friends, and her kids are great kids, well behaved, but also because they were already at a certain age where I wouldn't have to change no diapers. I didn't want to. I didn't want to have a newborn and change diapers at 45, 46 years old. It was like, no, I'll take the 7 or 8-year-old and mentor that child, and that was fulfilling for me. And so my point is to say, here's the thing. When I made that decision, Anton, I wasn't telling other men this is what y'all need to do. I was saying this is what the fuck I want to do. And I think
that's not what you say, Boyce. Because listen, Boyce, unfortunately for you and for me, everything we do is up for debate because it's not just what we say. Our life decisions are also communicated to people. And I think that the things that you do is 90% of the conversation. 10% of it is what we say. The 10% is just the cherry on top. That's just us highlighting and then using ourselves as an example in order to illustrate what you should do. So your life decisions, unfortunately, and me, unfortunately, is up for debate. We don't get to control that. We are public figures. And now the things that we do and then the way that we communicate to people actually is communicating to them how it is that they should be moving and how they should make their life decisions because they look up to us based off of our results. And so you don't just say, well, I did it, and that's just the conversation, because that ain't even what you do. You also say, hey, these guys should be going out here and getting with these women that may have kids because we need to save the community, and these are the heroes of our community. That's what you also communicating, not only in your actions, but also you say it out of your mouth.
Well, you know what? I share my perspective, right? I don't think that anybody who is a free-thinking man should just be on another man's jockstrap to the point where you're doing everything that he does.
Don't do that.
You don't. Seriously, when we talk about voting, people always, every time I say something to critical of the Democrats, people think I'm telling people to be a Republican. And the first thing I say is, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you because I don't know your life. I don't know what your preferences are. It's like I can't tell you what kind of woman you should want. If you should want a tall, short, fat, thin, whatever. I'm saying that there is somebody out there for everybody, and pick what works for you.
It's not somebody for everybody. You see, that's why I think that you're wrong, because it's not somebody for everybody. We know that to be a fact. Everybody is not going to win. Everybody not going to get married. Everybody can't go on. We know that this is the truth. And so for example, I have conversations with women because I think that they're delusional to all be going for the same type of guy. More importantly, I think that they're delusional to believe that they all deserve a great man, because their definition of great is not realistic for what we actually need in our communities. Most of us are regular, everyday people. That's just the reality. Okay, we all regular, everyday people.
Well, let me ask you this though, but is it not delusional for us to decide what we think a woman deserves or what a woman can actually get?
Yes.
I've seen women who, maybe they got a couple kids and they are a certain age, but because they got the secret sauce and they know how to treat a man or they know how to exercise their options appropriately, they never run out of men that are interested in getting with them. So I don't think that I would have the authority to go.
They don't run out of
men. Think about it though. Think about it.
They don't run out of men that's willing to sleep with them. It's a difference.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Right. We agree on that. We agree on that. But I can't.
Sleeping around is not good, boys.
No. Seriously. Like, imagine somebody telling a young black man that because you got a criminal record and a bad credit score, ain't no woman never going to want to be with you. You don't know. I mean, this man might be 6'5" and handsome as hell. He'll never have a shortage of women. Right. So the point is to say that you can't look at a person and make your determination that they're delusional. It's like if somebody says, I want to get a job and I want to work 10 hours a week, I want to make $500,000 a year. It's not my right to say that's delusional. I would say, well, that's going to be hard for you to do. But there are people like Anton Daniels who does work 10, however many hours a week you work, and you make a lot of money.
Right? Isn't it interesting? Because you're validating delusion as though people deserve to get what they think that they want. For example, why do we try to discourage every young guy from not thinking that they just gonna make it into the league? You don't have to be a rapper. Hey, family, if you over here and you think that you deserve or you're gonna be awesome and to be this big rapper or to be this big basketball player, we know statistically that you have a greater chance of being great when it comes to investing and putting into your 401k and reducing your tax burden and possibly starting a business if you understand it from a business perspective, or becoming going down a specific path from a college perspective and becoming a software engineer or a cybersecurity professional. I'm going to lead you into the thing, and then I'll say, listen, you can follow your dreams after you do what you're supposed to do when it comes to securing your future, or to make sure that you're always going to be able to make money, right? And so the delusion is to put all of your eggs in that basket, and I'm going to call that young man out on that, and I'm going to say, listen, bro, if you're putting all of your eggs in to make it into the league, what if you break your leg, right? That's not realistic. And even if you make it into the league on average, the average basketball player only is in the league for 4 years. And then 5 years after they leave the league, they're going to go bankrupt. That's what the statistics say, right? And so I'm not leading him into this delusional way of thinking. I'm going to speak to him based off of what's best for him. And so it's the same thing when it comes to women, except for we remove those barriers because it's only based off of what you feel, not based off of the reality. The reality is that they don't deserve a certain type of guy based off of their life circumstances and the way that they live their life. See, the way that we judge people and we evaluate people is based off of what the results are. If you decide that you want to go out here and you sexy red, it behooves me to sit here and tell you that you deserve a Russell Wilson. But the problem is you'll have a Russell Wilson then hit these women with delusion because they've made the decision. Now you got every woman saying that they're going to say the Sierra's prayer. That's not reality for the majority of the Black community. So we got to speak to the majority. We can't speak to the anomalies. It's not realistic.
Okay, so I will agree with your point 100% is that remember, my background is economics, and I think I see everything as a market. And what you're basically saying is that if you're talking to a kid in the hood that says I want to be the next LeBron, you might say, look, the odds of this happening are very, very low. But you never know. You might be talking to LeBron, right? If LeBron's teachers had said going to the NBA is not going to happen for you, that would have been wrong, right? But most kids are not LeBron. We know this, right? So you might say, well, look, you're only 5'8". You don't even play basketball. This may not work out for you. And I agree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that when you talk about, the sexy reds or whatever, I'm right there with you on that. I talk about the sexy red bullshit all the time. But I also think that at the same time, I think as men, we should probably be a little more nuanced in terms of how we have that conversation. We don't have to be bastards about it. A lot of people, men and women, you look at men that make bad choices. We could just say, well, you're a dumbass because you made bad choices. Now look at your life. Nothing's possible for you. Or you can try to also understand why he might have made those bad choices, why he might have went to jail at an early age because of the situation he was born in. So a lot of the women that they come to men like us for advice, that will take the time to hear what we have to say, to hear a man's perspective. Some of them are so damaged. Some of them, again, I don't agree with Sierra having a baby with Future. I think Future is a piece of shit. I really do. But the problem I have is that you have a lot of guys that live that same lifestyle, have that same mentality, who might listen to your channel and say, yeah, that's right. These hoes need to change their behavior. They need to do this, do that. And I'm like, well, what about you too? I don't know why Sierra had a baby with Russell with Future. Maybe she thought Future was going to be a better man than the man that he turned out to be, or maybe something's wrong with her. I don't even know.
That's where you lose me, boys. Come on, he had already had a bunch of children. And he's a rapper, and he was blowing weed smoke out here in these streets. And he talking about Molly's and Percocet. Come on, What she thought she was going to.
Now you are right about that. You're right. Just like as men, you know, we sleep with women that we ain't got no business sleeping with. You know, my buddy got a stripper pregnant, and he's a professor, and I was like, why would you fuck a stripper? Like, that doesn't make
And
any
he
sense.
needs to be held accountable for that.
Absolutely. And so what I would say with the accountability thing, I'm all about team accountability. I'm right there with you 100%. I just think accountability starts at home. If I have not fully held myself accountable, then I have to be careful about judging others and judging.
But I have held myself accountable, and so I feel like I'm in a position.
I think that you have, but I don't think everybody in your audience has. I think that there are men who literally go through life blaming all their problems on women. The reason I'm miserable is because my baby mama. The reason that the women did, the reason I ain't got no money is because women did this to me and did that to me. And I think it starts with their mother. I think a lot of them had mommy issues. And
wait, hold on, stop there. How did they get mommy issues?
From their mommy.
Being raised by what? A single mother, right?
In some cases, yes. But then also remember, hurt people. So we are an ecosystem as Black people. In many cases, when you see an abusive man, a lot of times it rooted from behavior from some woman that did not do right by him. But when you see a woman behaving in inappropriate ways, a lot of times you can link that back to a man, and maybe it comes from her father or her ex-husband or whatever, right? And my point is to say that if we're going to
how it always comes back to the man, though, boys.
It does no. It comes. Well, I think that as men, all I can do is take responsibility for what I do. All I can do is look at like where am I contributing? Right. So as a husband,
we are our brother's keeper, and we hold everybody accountable. Nobody should be absolved from being held accountable, men and women. The difference is that I don't see guys get mad when I hold them accountable, but I do see women say that you automatically women bashing when you call a spade a spade. Listen, if you've been slutting it out and you for the streets, and then I say, hey, you've been slutting it out and you for the streets, all of a sudden that becomes women bashing because you're not being compassionate enough. But if I talk to a guy and I say, hey, you doing pookie behavior and you out here doing stuff and you messing up the community, man, you a sucker. You need to hold yourself accountable. All of a sudden it's, oh yeah, good job. You holding them accountable. It got to be equal across the board because everybody has the choice to do what they want to do now. You can't tell a woman what she can and can't do anymore. And so because of that, you don't have complete dominion over what happens in your household because she can go and do what she want to do. She can go and get her own job. She can sleep with who she wants to. Then if we want to look at ourselves as a community, then the whole community needs to be held accountable. You cannot absolve one thing from the other and then say that you automatically mad at one thing simply because you're being equal across the board. That's what equality is.
Now, I think you make a perfect point. I mean, I can't really disagree with what you said because remember, I had a big controversy over Lizzo. I said that I don't like this idea that this lady's being paid by these record labels to promote obesity in the Black community, like obesity is body positivity. There's nothing positive about dying from diabetes and shit, right? So
am I paused? Or is it Boyce? I think Boyce is paused. It could be me. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, I think Boyce is frozen. I think he is frozen. Boyce is struggle streaming. I thought it was me, but I guess it's him. I'm going to give him some time to be able to hopefully recover. What's up, friends and family? Well, I guess this is Anton from Anton Daniels show now. Well, since I got your attention, until we get Uncle Boyce back, Anton Daniels is not hurt. All right. Anton Daniels do not feel a certain type of way. And I think that y'all need to bring yourself back to the front of the congregation in order to ensure that we have a successful community. If you want best for the community, then you got to get the beam out of your own eye. Oh, Boyce, I was just giving the people a little bit of insight until you got back.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, my Wi-Fi went out for a second, so it's your show for a minute, man. But you know, I'm gonna say this. You know, for the sake of extending the olive branch, I want to apologize for anything I've said that's been hurtful or disrespectful to you. And I want to say also that I've learned from your perspective. And if you are okay with that, I'd like for us to walk away from this conversation as brothers. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm 100% on board. I think that, well, look, first, let me say this. I also apologize for any low blows that I might have thrown. But I think that it is important to have these conversations. I think you are intelligent. I think you're very, very smart. I just think that you're a good guy. I think we all have differences of opinion. But at the same time, I can also hold myself accountable and say that I should probably be a lot more above board than just, you know what I'm saying, and reacting or you know, thinking that I'm always right or whatever. But I'm open to the fact that I could be wrong. And we all evolving. You know, who I am today is completely different to who I was yesterday, and I'm assuming that that's the same thing with you. So yeah, I also apologize, and I want us to walk away also, you know, with a good perspective or a good understanding of who each other is. And I respect you. I got a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, well, vice versa, brother, vice versa. And so everybody, if you could give a digital thank you to Anton for popping in. Anton Daniels, that's your last name. It's Daniels, right? Is that right, bro? Okay, yeah, Anton Daniels. So you can look him up on YouTube. And we got to do this again. We, you know, get together and debate some stuff, man. I really enjoyed this a lot. And thank you all for hanging out with us. And if you could please hit the thumbs up button and all that before you go. And we will see you guys soon. Anton, I'm gonna send you an email after this, man, so we can further. All right. Have a good day, everybody. See you later. All right. Peace.